Boxing is back with the IBO World Light Heavyweight Championship. Can Suarez take the belt? Or will one of Britain's brightest prospects, Lyndon Arthur, seize victory? Big Fight Live, Arthur versus Suarez, Friday at 10 on Channel 5.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're in Manchester at the Lure Factory, part 2. I was just filming for 30 seconds, didn't realise it weren't turned on.
Are you like YTS? You didn't even know it, turn your own camera on.
Call me YTS. Yeah, probably still YTS. Apologies, but we are in Manchester. It is fight week. I'm joined by Johnny Nelson. Hearn-Okolie, potential banana skin here with David Light?
As a world champion, every fight's a potential banana skin, especially if you've got bigger fish to fry in your head down the line. And obviously they're talking about the likes of getting a unification for Lawrence, which and for Richard, whoever gets in that position to do that first. But today we talk about Hearn-Okolie. That's what he wants to do. Lawrence has also talked about even stepping up to heavyweight. I see his union with Sugar Hill, and he's working along the sides of Tyson Fury. So that will tell him whether or not he really fancies stepping up to heavyweight eventually. Most decent cruiserweights can, and I think Lawrence is very comfortable talking like that at the moment.
We know Lawrence's plan was always to unify the division first and then obviously try and become undisputed. But as time's ticking on, it might be a case of, before any of this happens, that move to heavyweight happens, because undoubtedly that's where the money is.
Yeah, opportunity, and that's why it's been the case. And I think an opportunity may arise. I don't know what's happening with the Tyson Fury or this Usyk situation, but something surprisingly may arise down the line in 2 or 3 fights' time if Usyk's still champion or whatever. If the titles get fragmented, you never know. So it's about opportunity. Lawrence makes cruiserweight. I actually thought his goal was to probably try and beat my record of defences, which I think is a great goal to give yourself. But it's about money, it's about opportunity, it's about getting a legacy for yourself.
Ego to drop yourself into this conversation. I love it. I like it.
Don't mention it. But that to me, I can remember Lawrence he mentioned it in an interview early on in his career and said that's what he wanted to do. And actually, the side of you thinks, no man, but then the side of me thinks, yeah, that's actually good. And the young bucks have got to come through and try and set records, set goals for others coming behind them. And if anybody's going to do it, I'd prefer it to be a UK fighter doing it.
Undoubtedly, you would have seen this kind of little exchange of words between Hearn-Okolie and Eddie Hearn over the last couple of days. Lawrence made some comments the day before yesterday. Eddie Hearn responded yesterday. What do you think about that kind of... Well, obviously that relationship isn't really a relationship anymore since Lawrence had kind of left Matchroom and Eddie. Hold on, so I'm not misquoted. Hold this.
I'll wait.
Talk to them.
I'll wait. I think Eddie, listen to me. I've got to give it Eddie, because I heard him on Talk Sport. For him to actually go in, sit down with Hearn-Jordan, who's a very clever, sharp guy, as sharp and as smart as Eddie, for Eddie to sit there in the lion's den in the heat and take the grilling as he did, I've got to give it him. So, and if you're his fighter, he's going to love you and try and take care of you. If you're not, he's going to show, let people know you're not. But so suck it to me. What are you telling me?
So Hearn-Okolie on Talk Sport, not yesterday, the day before. Hearn-Okolie on Eddie Hearn. He's very malicious, very bitter, jealous as well. And for someone who has been brought up in such a great position, he has done so much in terms of his own life. The way he acts on a personal level is vindictive.
Okay. So one thing I know about Eddie, and I've known this young man, Eddie, since he's 11 years old. He's a businessman, a ruthless, cutthroat businessman. He'll get the job done no matter what and no matter how it gets to be done. And as I said, if you're under his wing, under his protection, he's going to try and do his best for you. If you're not, he's going to do his best to dethrone you or to undermine you. That's business. I don't know how much how familiar they are with each other on a personal level. I'd guess not very familiar. But I do think it's business. And even though I might not agree with a lot of things Eddie says or does, I do believe that. Again, if he's with you, he's with you. If he's not, he's not. Look at the Conor Benn situation. Look how he's defending that young man. Now, if he wasn't with Conor, I'm quite sure he'd have thrown Conor under the bus. Fighters want that kind of support. So if he's supporting you and you feel you've got him behind you, it's all well and good. Lawrence clearly didn't. And I'm quite sure Lawrence has got reasoning for that. And you probably could have gone into that more on Talk Sport. But that's business.
Do you know the DJ here?
Pardon?
Do you know the DJ here?
Yeah, man. Me and him.
Disc jockey. Well, can you tell him to turn the volume down?
Do you know where he is?
No, because this is killing like your sound.
Hold on. Watch out for it. Watch out for it. If you pointing him out. Oh, yeah,
well done, mate.
That's him.
No, well done. Oh, God.
That's him.
Well, no.
They can hear me. They can hear me.
I know, but this is like, copyright and all that. Okay, let's see how this rolls anyway. Johnny, so look, that situation is what it is. Eddie Hearn responded yesterday by basically saying that Lawrence is using his name Fight Week to sell the fight. I mean, if he is, I'd say that is very clever as well.
So again, how many promoters are probably as upfront as the fighters? Eddie Hearn is like, you've got to an autograph signing for fighters. Now you're going to go for an autograph signing of Eddie Hearn. He's got himself He's got himself into a position where they're saying, "Oh, you just used my name." That's what fighters say. That's what champions say. And so it's probably sorry for saying it. It's probably a wanker thing to say. But Eddie knows what he's doing. He knows he's winding people up, and he knows they either love him or loathe him. But either way, they're going to listen to him.
Okay, but you watched or listened to the interview on Talk Sport between Simon Jordan and Eddie Hearn. Who won that?
I think it was refreshing to see Simon Jordan corner Eddie, and and Eddie. I don't know him personally enough to say he was out of character. But he was talking about, come on, let's have a fight. Let's do it. And he kept just dragging it down to that level. And I heard it between the breaks, they were really giving it each other. And it was just nice to see somebody sharp, if not sharper, somebody smart, if not smarter, somebody as bold and brash, if not as brasser, with Simon Jordan. And I think if anybody's going to challenge Eddie, it's Simon. And I thought, I can understand the ratings being ridiculous because those two, they didn't care, man. So they're actually very similar. But Simon Jordan, I'd say Simon Jordan won that. I say he won that. And Eddie's thinking, you know what? Look how he spun it around afterwards. Yeah, I've got one. He's making out as though it was part of what he wanted, what he set up, and it was planning for a fight. But it was really good, a good listen. I think I don't know how much we actually got out of it because Eddie was defending himself on every point. Simon Jordan was pulling him to task. How many reporters, how many guys that interview Eddie actually do that? Nobody does. And they try it, but Eddie will bamboozle them and put them in. But yeah, you can frown as much as you like.
I'm not frowning.
Yeah, but
that's not a frown. That's just my look.
But
you're having a dig at me now. Yeah.
No, I'm not having a dig at you. What I'm saying to you is,
saying soft ass questions.
What I'm saying to you is, a lot of times when people are being interviewed, the interviewer is scared to ask questions in case they can't get an opportunity to interview that person again. And it was refreshing to see Simon Jordan really dig in, really get in there. And Eddie, you've got to give it to him. He went into the lion's den. He went to that fire pit. And I thought, all right, good.
Just to clarify, are you implying that I don't ask Eddie Hearn the proper questions?
You do ask the questions, but you actually...
But what?
But and you ask the questions because you've got to ask the questions. But if he comes back to you with something, you think, well, I've asked the question, move on. You know what I mean? Simon Jordan didn't let him go. Simon Jordan said, whoa, Eddie, you're lying there. Whoa, come back, Eddie. And he just wouldn't let him go. And he dogged him. He was like a dog with a bone.
All right. Now you started, the gloves are coming off now. Tell me 4 questions that I haven't asked Eddie.
No, I'm not saying you haven't asked
about
the
the Conor Benn situation.
I'm not saying you haven't asked the question. What I'm saying is he's giving you an answer and you've not questioned the answer. You've had your questions and you've given the question.
One example then.
I can't think of one, but I've heard him. And what I'm not saying you're doing a bad job because you do a good job because at least you ask the question. But when he's giving you the answer, then you move on. I'm thinking, all right, You know, where Simon Jordan, he just wouldn't let it go.
So are you saying that my approach to my interviewing with Eddie Hearn, which has spanned over 13 years, should be in Simon Jordan's approach? And I quite enjoyed that Simon Jordan approach as well, and I like the responses from Eddie Hearn as well. But should I adapt that kind of questioning stance?
With Eddie, yes.
Every time?
No, with Eddie, yes. With Simon Jordan, yes. Because you've got two very intelligent individuals that are far smarter than people like me, you, and most of the people you talk in boxing. They know the legal side, they know what's happening behind closed doors, they know what's happening with every fighter. So with people like Simon and Eddie, you can't let these guys off the hook, because they'll give you something and think, right, there you go. And you don't.
I hear that. Okay, I hear that.
You're probably just touching the outskirts of it. So that's why you've got to deal with certain people differently.
Here's my next question. See that line of questioning, yeah? That line, that approach from Simon Jordan, yeah? What did you learn from that interview that you didn't already know? So what was the end result of Simon Jordan's probing questions, which they were? Simon gave it to Eddie, he did. Eddie responded how he responded, but Simon put it to Eddie, I will say that. But what did you learn about Conor Benn's situation that you didn't already know?
Simon Jordan pursued questioning about the contracts, Eddie's knowledge or awareness of being in a position to pull the fight a long time before he actually could. And he kept badgering him, saying, no, Eddie, you're lying. No, you did. And listen, if Simon Jordan had the information to blow him up, he didn't use it. And I thought, you know what, my man's not letting it go. And he actually had Eddie apologise to him a couple of times to say, Eddie, be careful, you get yourself in trouble. And then he apologised. I'm like, damn. So I actually like the balls.
I will say one thing. The one thing I did learn was about that contract situation more so from Simon's questioning, because he was relentless on Hearn about whether he had the power to pull that fight. Eddie said no, Simon disagreed with that.
Yes. Why do you think Simon disagreed with that? Maybe because Simon knew something we didn't?
Yeah, but then that's what? Then saying that Eddie Hearn's lying on now?
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's what Simon was basically saying. Well, no, Eddie, wait on a minute. And that's what, I ain't Simon. I was a listener like everybody else. They got massive high viewing figures, and I couldn't understand why, because I thought, shit. So now it's making you think, whoa, wait on a minute. Why are you pursuing this, Simon? The man's told you no, and you're telling him yeah. So you understand? So when you're talking to him
like in the back pocket, surely.
Yeah. So I'm like thinking he knows more than what he's making out. But I like the whole. They're very similar. They're all both on point. And I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good watch on both parts. I thought it was a very good watch, and I mean, a part two at some point.
They could do that.
But Simon should come over to Eddie's, like in the garden, at Matchroom Garden.
What difference would it make? He doesn't mind where it is.
No, it doesn't, to be fair. It's going to be the same dynamic. I loved it.
One thing about Simon Jordan is he will say whatever. He'll say stuff that get most people slapped, right? And say stuff to Dave Chisora. He'll say stuff about Wilder. Say about Joshua and Fury. I've been in the studio. I'm like thinking, oh, are you? And then when I walk around thinking, you know what? I've got to give it him, man. I've got to give it him because he uses, as they say, the pen's mightier than the sword. He's right there with it.
It's very watchable, and Simon's very watchable as well.
Refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,